Hello, my name is Jalen West, and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager here at PPR Capital Management. Today I'm excited to introduce someone who has become a friend of the firm and an incredible resource to his clients, Craig Meyer, investment coach and educator with Money Ripples. At Money Ripples, Craig helps his clients unlock financial freedom through strategies like cash flow optimization, passive income, and infinite banking. Over the past few years, Craig has connected many of his clients with PPR offerings and has seen firsthand how opportunities at PPR can complement the work that he does every day. We are thrilled to have him here to both share his experience as an advisor and his experience partnering with PPR. So first up, Craig, I want to start out with the basics here. So for those who aren't familiar with Money Ripples, can you just explain a little bit about what you do and how you fit into the investment world?
Absolutely. And first off, thank you, Jalen, for inviting me to speak with you today. We're really excited to work with you in the studio. So real quickly, Money Ripples is a financial education company, and we brand ourselves as what we call anti-financial advisors. So what does that mean? Your typical brokerage model, has somebody fill out a risk questionnaire, right? And what are your kind of, investment goals, investment objectives? And then they put you into an asset allocation model, right? Not very customized, kind of a cookie cutter, one size fits all type of model. What we do with our clients is focus on cash flow, right? So different people are going to have different goals. Maybe a number is $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. And it's our job to help them get from point A to point B, right? So we kind of have more of a bottoms-up approach to say, okay, we don't want to risk all of our assets in the stock market. We've all been through, different financial crashes over the past 10, 15 years. So we work with clients on cash flow development with the goal of becoming what we call work optional.
Interesting. So you kind of create a plan that fits exactly what their goals are versus giving them that cookie cutter model like you mentioned there.
Exactly. I'll say this. Not one person's financial plan is the same, right? Because people are very unique, and personal finance is just that. It's very personal, right? So, our goals are probably different. Therefore, we would have a different financial plan and a financial roadmap. So we really get clear on helping our clients identify what is it you want to achieve, and then how are we going to help you get there?
And it's probably multiple questions to get there because I'm sure most people in the first interaction don't give you that initial reason, but I'm sure if you keep asking why, it gets deeper to what drives them in their investment decisions.
And it's such a good point, and it's really interesting to see how people will change just over the course of working with us for a few months. They come to us thinking they want to do ABC, and a couple months later they say, "Oh wow, I totally want something different." And I appreciate you and the Money Ripples team helping me figure out what it is I really want.
It's extremely important. Now, when you first learned about PPR, what stood out about PPR and what made it a complementary product for what you guys are doing with your clients today?
Gosh, well, there's a lot of synergies between PPR and Money Ripples, and I'm going to point to the poster behind you, which is the core values, right? I love when I walked in here, that's the first thing I noticed. And Money Ripples, PPR have very similar core values. They're actually not, I don't see any exact similarities. Ours are integrity, humble confidence, a lot of really, we want to work for our clients, work really hard in an honest and trustworthy manner, very similar to what you guys do. And so I think when a lot of people, work with a new investment company, work with a financial coach or educator, the first thing they look at are results, right? I want to get to, $10,000 a month in cash flow. They also look at the investments, right? I want to invest in multifamily. I want to invest in self-storage. I want to invest in short-term notes. The first question people want to ask themselves is, who am I investing with? And do their core values align with mine, right? That's the first question I ask myself when I'm, talking to a new partner. And it's the first question I encourage our clients to ask as well. Does PPR align with your core values, right? Lots of synergies between our core values. And, I've been partnering with you guys for a number of years. And it's, very evident from the team that you guys have, the various people I've worked with, lots of commonalities between core values.
All right, great. And then can you share, a story or a specific example about how introducing a PPR product in someone's portfolio has directly impacted their financial journey?
I can give you a lot of examples.
All right, let's start with one.
Yeah, there's two I want to highlight. Clients in very different positions. The first one is we have a very hardworking new mom of two. Her husband's an entrepreneur, and she is a nurse. And she is looking, with two young kids, is looking to be work optional, right? And so I've been working with her for about 2 years, and what she really needs is consistent income, right? She's got a portfolio of stocks, and she's thinking, I don't know if I want to sell this. If the market drops, is the 4% rule going to be able to handle, my family's monthly expenses? Kind of rolling the dice. We're not sure. Partnering with PPR has been, a life changer for her in terms of being able to get paid consistently month over month, right? So I'd say that's, kind of step number one. And then step number two is she doesn't just assume these payments are going to come in. I really challenge our clients to get to know, what does PPR do? How do they make money? What are the risks? What's PPR doing to manage those, to manage and mitigate those risks, right? Our clients should know the answers to all those questions, and she does. And she's in alignment with how you guys manage your business, right? So for her, I don't think she'll be retired forever, but she has some breathing room now, right? In order to say, okay, I can spend some more time with my kids. I can partner with a company like PPR, get paid every month, and have the knowledge to understand how those payments are generated, and have the confidence that they're going to come, right? And let's contrast that to another couple who is just entering retirement, right? So we have our first client who is kind of, a new mom, has a good career, but wants to take a break. Now we have a retired couple who came to us and they said, hey, we've got a nice 7-figure amount saved in our 401ks. They're being managed by a brokerage firm. We just met with our financial advisor and we're not going to be able to retire in the method we thought we would, right? So they came to Money Ripples. I've been working with them for about 6 months, and kind of a similar type of result, right? So they're looking for that consistency as they go into retirement. Luckily, they had a lot of money inside of a Roth retirement account, so all the distributions that they're receiving, they won't be taxed on, right? We love Roth accounts for sure. And so you kind of see two different examples of people being able to rely on consistency and performance, working with PPR. And I'd say kind of piggybacking on how important performance is just how amazing you guys are at communication as well, right? In a post-COVID world, sometimes customer service isn't the best. I know we've all been in situations like that. And, consistent feedback from our clients about working with PPR is extremely polished, extremely professional. And my answers to questions get answered, very quickly, which we appreciate so much.
Yeah, we try to stay on top of our clients and make sure they're getting everything kind of when they need it. And it sounds like your role in the whole equation is making sure, you're there to lay out options, but you're also there to make sure your clients are comfortable and confident to choose that option and feel comfortable moving forward with it.
100%, right? So there's a lot of really cool alternative investment options out there, but they're not right for every single investor, yep. Right? So it's kind of my job as a coach and advisor to say, is this model right for you? Does it fit your investment objectives, and does it fit your risk tolerance, mm-hmm. right? And then I spent a lot of time on the education side. I was just on a call with Bill O'Brien, and he was running through PPR's 2024 financial statements. So, if you're listening to this podcast right now, I would welcome you to pull up the financials. They're audited by Deloitte, which I love to see. And as a good steward of your money, right, as a passive investor, it's how do you take it to the next level? Pull up the financial statements, right? You don't need to be a CPA to understand the basics of the financials. And that's another part I spend a lot of time with our clients going through is, okay, how do we get reliance, right? That PPR is a healthy company, that they're performing well. Let's go to the financials. They've been audited. Let's give yourself that extra level of comfort and confidence.
Yeah, and the financials give you, like you said, a full story of what's going on with the firm. As an investor, you shouldn't be afraid to ask those questions, because at the end of the day, it's your money that they're investing.
There's risk, right, with everything. I think anyone who's been around since 2008, that's when I started working, and we had the great financial crisis, and that was my first foray into risk and return, right? So these payments don't come for free, right? PPR has to perform, and there's obviously going to be a level of risk with any type of yield producing activity. And so if clients can get comfortable with what that risk is and get comfortable with the controls, that PPR has in place to mitigate those risks, could be a win-win.
Yeah. And I guess moving on a little bit, Craig. So I guess from your perspective as a financial coach who's seen work with a number of firms, what set PPR aside from other firms that you've recommended to your clients?
It's a great question, Jalen. You guys hit on a few different points that I think really separate you from other operators in the marketplace. I'd say number one is going to be a track record of performance, right? So you guys do what you say you're going to do, and you do it on time, right? So the biggest thing when an investor is investing for passive cash flow, they want to get paid, whether it's monthly, whether it's quarterly. They want to get paid on the amount that they think they're going to get paid on, and they want to get paid consistently, right? So you guys have never missed interest payments, and that's through a lot of different market cycles, right? PPR hasn't just been around for 2-3 years. You guys have been around for a long time. There's been a lot of fluctuates in the marketplace since then, and it really proves to your balance sheet, your risk management performance. You guys understand what you need to do to deliver to client results, right? I'll actually talk to people about how I like when I hear that you guys are shifting your payout structure, because to me that says they understand what's happening in the marketplace. They understand what's happening with interest rates, right? When interest rates rise or fall, does that affect performance, right? Because the most important thing is that you guys do what you say you're going to do it, and you do it on time, right? So track record performance, critical. I'd say another amazing thing that you guys do, communication, right? It's critical in today's post-COVID world, to have good customer service. And I work closely with Amy and Stephanie. They are rock stars to our clients. And so whenever, people have technical questions, simple questions, Amy and Stephanie can really tailor the response to somebody who's kind of very new to the financial space or financial lingo. And they can talk to really sophisticated investors who have a lot of expertise in real estate and lending to get people comfortable on how their dollars are going to be invested. And then I would say education is also critical, right? So we preach education at Money Ripples. Bill O'Brien has done a great job of talking to our clients about the financials, right? So I was telling Bill, we don't need to get into a really detailed, investor quarterly update here. Basically, when we're reviewing the financials, we want to say, okay, does PPR have enough cash to pay the liabilities, right, that investors expect? And he was able to prove, yes, we do, and this is how we do it. And that gives people the confidence to know that their hard-earned dollars are going to a company that really is a good performer and has a lot of integrity. You guys do what you say you're going to do, and you do it on time. What more could you ask for, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of the biggest piece in this space, basically holding your promises and making sure you're able to deliver upon what you're telling investors, which we've done for almost 2 decades now, which is something that we're all pretty proud of.
Man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess, Craig, as we're looking forward, looking ahead, you guys are obviously growing your business. We're growing our business here. What do you see as the biggest alignment for PPR and Money Ripples going forward?
It's such a good question. I would say, especially with the development of AI, right? That's kind of the big buzzword in the financial space right now, and really kind of in the world in general. And as AI kind of gets better and has more technology, I'd say the client experience becomes critical, right? So at Money Ripples, we really value our clients, getting results, right? That's the most important thing. But having a good client experience, being in a mastermind and a think tank of other like-minded individuals to help them grow and get better. And I know kind of at PPR, you guys are kind of doing the same thing, right? You're developing new technologies, new reporting, right? Kind of different avenues and different channels to make money for clients, right? So we never want to sit still. We always want to get better. And I see that in both of our companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were talking a little bit prior to this about the growth of your company. I know at PPR we're growing, we're adding on new investors every month.
Mm-hmm.
And the overall space for retail credit investors is continuing to grow immensely year over year, even with larger firms pushing into the space. Now, you've been around for a while in the alternative investment space, but if you're someone new who's coming to the space looking to add alternatives into your portfolio, what piece of advice would you give them as they try to navigate the space that doesn't have as much data as like public market investments?
This is the key question, right? Especially for anyone new to the alternative space who's listening. And there's a few pieces of advice that I think are really important. Number one is you need to have crystal clear goals of where you want to go, right? So you're at point A, and you want to get to point B, you need to be really detailed on what that looks like, right? So what is it that you want out of your financial portfolio, right? Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for growth? Are you looking for tax optimization? Do you want to retire in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? Getting really clear on what your game plan looks like is step number one. Step number two is you need to have a development of both your personal balance sheet and your personal income statement. This is where a lot of people go wrong. Is they just want to invest their dollars and they don't really understand how much money they make versus how much they spend is critical. And then also having balance sheet alignment with your goals. So what does that mean? That means when you're looking at the assets that you own, do they align with what your long-term goals are, right? If cash flow is one of your long-term goals, PPR could be a really good option for you, right? I work with a lot of people who have been in the syndication space. It's been pretty popular over the last 3-4 years for a general partner to raise capital. And what a lot of those people don't realize is that the syndication is going to be more of a growth-focused asset, right? Even though they said, okay, we're going to pay you quarterly. As soon as there's some headwinds in some of those deals, the LP quarterly money dries up. And that's just kind of how the model is designed. And so a lot of people didn't realize that, right? They also didn't realize my money is locked up, right, for 3, 4, 5 years. So I think getting really crystal clear on your goals, getting a good sense of your financial foundation through your balance sheet and your income statement, and then making sure that the investments that you have are aligned to what your goals are kind of the big 3 steps that are really important to hit. And that's kind of what we help our clients with at a much more detailed level.
And it sounds like what you're saying there is really about knowing personally where you want to go and being disciplined along the way to make sure you're hitting those checkpoints.
Absolutely. And it's kind of circling back to, how we started the conversation is, we like to work from a bottoms up approach, right? So that means, we want to get crystal clear on what your cash flow goals are. Say, $20,000 a month. That it's funny, that number used to be 10,000 for most people. And then inflation, is real. And now people are thinking, okay, we might need to double that, right? And so it's, how are we going to get there, right? And it's really kind of up to you, right? I always tell people, nobody cares about your money more than you do, right? You are the CEO of your investment portfolio. You are in charge, right? And so then how do you get there? It's through two ways, right? It's from the money you make and how you deploy those assets. And then it's through kind of repositioning the current assets on your balance sheet. So some really important takeaways on, how to kind of hit your financial freedom work optional number.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining us today, Craig. Investors really interested in learning more, you can check us out at pprcapitalmgmt.com. If you want to learn more specifically about PPR's funds, you can book a call on our calendar and speak with our investor relations team.
Thanks for having me, Jalen.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.